Dear students, let me start the new unit. It is Unit 2, Mechanics. That the first topic is rotational dynamics of a rigid body. What is a rigid body? A rigid body, a solid body having or consisting of the particles which are very closely packed. They are very small in size and very closely packed, and the position of the particles is fixed one. Such a body is called a rigid body. Suppose an external force acts on the body. If the body or the particles of the body, if they are not disturbed by this external force, and if the body preserves its shape, size or volume, then that body is nothing but the rigid body. A rigid body preserves or it retains its shape or size or its volume in the presence of an external force. So that when the body is in motion, the body, it doesn't bend or it does not stretch or it doesn't vibrate also. Such a body is called a rigid body. When external force acts on the body, the rigid body, it can have two types of motion. One is translational motion, other one is rotational motion. The body can have either translational motion or rotational motion. What is translational motion? The motion in a straight line. Motion in a straight line, also called as linear motion. In case of linear motion or translational motion, all the particles of the body, they move along the same straight line. The lines are parallel to each other. All the particles, they move along the same straight line. So that the displacements of the particles are equal in equal intervals. Hence, the body has got the particles, their velocity is also same, and all the particles will have the same acceleration also. This is what happens in case of translational motion or linear motion. But in case of rotational motion, suppose the external force acting on the body produces the rotational motion. There, a line of particles in the body remains fixed. A line of particles remains fixed, and all the other particles, they describe the circular motion about this fixed line of particles. That fixed line of particles is called as the axis of rotation. So in case of rotational motion, there is an axis of rotation. About this, all the particles describe the circular motion. Such a motion is called the rotational motion. For example, the rotation of the wheel of a vehicle. There, you can see that a line of particles remains fixed, and all the other particles, the other part of the body, rotates about that fixed line. Such a motion is called the rotational motion. So in case of rotational motion, let us see what about the velocity of the body, what about its acceleration, and so on. Consider a rigid body. So here we have a rigid body. Let this rigid body be rotating about this axis, the z-axis. This is the axis of rotation. This body is rotating about this axis. So here the rotation, the axis is like this. And the body is, the plane of rotation of the body is perpendicular to the axis of rotation. Z, this is the axis of rotation, and this is the plane of rotation of the body about this axis. Here, let us consider a particle A. One of the particles of this body, say A. Let the particle be at a distance r from this point O. The point O is the point through which this axis passes through. This is the point. See, axis passes through the body like this, through this point O. The particle A at a distance r from the point O. Suppose the particle moves from A to B at a time, say t. In a time, say t. In a time t, let the particle moves from A to B. So that this AB, this is the arc of that circle. AB is the arc of the circle. If you complete this, you get a circle. AB is the arc. Let us denote AB as S. Nothing but linear displacement of the particle in the time, given time say t. Now, when the particle moves from A to B, now this arc S, this arc AB makes an angle theta with the center. Here, this OA and OB are nothing but the radius vector. OA or OB are known as the radius vector. Both are R. Radius vector is nothing but the line joining the particle to this axis. And the radius vector is perpendicular to this axis of rotation. See here now, this arc AB makes an angle theta with point O, and this theta is called as angular displacement. Now theta is the angular displacement in a given time t. Now here what we see is the angular displacement of all the particles remains constant in case of this rotational motion. The angular displacement remains constant. All the particles will have, whatever the particles you consider here on the body, over the body, all the particles will have the same angular displacement theta. Whereas the distances of the particles, the linear, as the distances of the particles from the point O changes, the linear displacement S also changes. Say for example, see here, this is the position of the particle. If the particle is at this point, distance is R. And when it moves from A to B, its linear displacement is taken as S. Suppose a particle is considered somewhere here. Now, its distance from O is less, and when it moves from this point to this, in the same time t, this linear displacement is very much less compared to this. If you take a point here, again the linear displacement is less than this. So that in case of rotational motion, the linear displacements are different for different particles, but the angular displacement remains constant for all the particles. And using this angular displacement, we define angular velocity. The angular displacement, it is measured in radian. And here from the geometry, we can find the relationship between S, R and theta. What is it? S equal to R theta, or AB. That is nothing but S equal to R theta. From this, what is theta? Linear displacement divided by R. R is the magnitude of the radius vector. Now, the rate of angular displacement, rate of change of angular displacement is called as angular velocity. So we define angular velocity as theta by t. In a given time t, if the particle has got angular displacement theta, then the angular velocity omega is defined as theta by t and measured in a unit radian per second. Now, here theta is S by R. If you substitute theta as S by R in this equation, you get the omega as S by RT. Theta is S by R. So that S by T into 1 by R. What is S by T? Linear displacement in unit time. Nothing but linear speed. So that omega is V by R, or V equal to R omega. And this is the relationship between linear velocity or linear speed and angular speed, or linear velocity and angular velocity. So V vector can be taken as R vector cross omega vector. Suppose the particle completes n rotations in 1 second. Suppose n particle completes about an axis. It completes n rotations in 1 second. Then angular velocity is also given by 2 pi into n. In general, it is defined as, what is 2 pi? Total displacement for one rotation. One complete circle means, one complete circle total angular displacement is 2 pi radian. When the particle completes one circle, total angular displacement is 2 pi radian. Suppose there are n such rotations in 1 second, omega is 2 pi into n. This is about the angular displacement and angular velocity in case of rotational motion of a body. And see here, V vector is omega cross r. Suppose r is perpendicular to omega, then how do you expand this? Omega r sine theta. When r and omega are perpendicular, theta is 90. So that we get V equal to r omega. Magnitude of the linear speed equal to r into omega. In rotational, in case of motion, whenever a body is in motion, or suppose a body is at rest, the body has got two states. One is state of rest or state of uniform motion. When a body is at rest or body is in uniform motion, the body has got the tendency to retain its state. The body tries to remain in the same state. That state means state may be state of rest or state of uniform motion. This tendency of a body or this property of a body to retain its state, either state of rest or state of uniform motion, it is called as inertia. Inertia, property of the body by virtue of which the body is unable to change the state. Body by itself, it cannot change its state. In order to change the state, something is required. Otherwise, the body remains the same state. This tendency is called inertia. In case of translatory motion, to change the state of the body, in case of translatory motion, to change the state of the body, force is required. And in translatory motion, the inertia of a body is measured by its mass. More is the mass of the body, more will be the inertia. Suppose a huge body of huge mass. Suppose a body of huge mass is at rest. To change the state, so there the body has got more inertia. A huge mass at rest or in uniform motion, it has got more inertia. Body of smaller mass has got less inertia. So, to change the state, we need force. The force is one which overcomes inertia in translatory motion. When the body is having more mass, more force is required to change the state. Suppose a body of large mass is at rest. To move it from that, to change its state, to move the body from that state of rest to some other, to move the body from that position to some other position, we need force and large force is required. The body is having small mass, less force is required. So force is one which overcomes inertia in translatory motion. Similarly, in rotational motion also, the body has got that property of inertia. Body tries to remain in the same state. It won't change its state by itself. That tendency is called as rotational inertia or moment of inertia. That moment of inertia is denoted by the symbol I. To change the moment of inertia or rotation inertia, in case of rotational motion, there also an external agent is required. That external agent required is called as torque in rotational motion. So, torque is analogous to force. Force overcomes inertia in translatory motion. Torque overcomes inertia in rotational motion. And this moment of inertia, it is defined as the product of mass of the particle and square of the distance of the particle from the axis of rotation. Suppose we have a particle of mass m at a distance of r from the axis of rotation, then moment of inertia is I equal to mr square. It is measured in a unit kg meter square. The SI unit is kg meter square. Now, consider a rigid body. Here, xy is the axis of rotation. The body is rotating about this axis in this direction. Let us divide this body. Let the total mass of the body, let it be m. Let the body is rotating with an angular velocity omega. So, omega, angular velocity of this body of mass m. This omega is same for all the particles. Angular velocity is same for all the particles. Let us consider the particles of masses m1, m2, m3 and so on at distances r1, r2, r3 etc. from this axis of rotation. m1 at a distance r1, m2 at a distance r2, m3 at a distance r3 and so on from the axis of rotation. Now, Moment of inertia of the particle m1, by definition it is m1 r1 square. Moment of inertia of m2 is m2 r2 square. That of m3 is m3 r3 square, and so on. So that total moment of inertia, nothing but sum of the moment of inertia of all these particles. So I is given by m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus, and so on. So that the total moment of inertia can be taken as summation mr square. This is the total moment of inertia of the given body. This is one of the expressions for I in terms of mass of the different particles and their distances from the axis of rotation. Suppose, see here we have the total mass m. Suppose this total mass of the body is assumed to be concentrated at one point. Let this mass be whole mass concentrated at one point. Let that point be at a distance k from the axis of rotation. Say this is the direction of rotation of the body, or this point. Say point where whole mass is assumed to be concentrated. Let that point be at a distance k from the axis, so that the moment of inertia of this body can also be taken as mk square. The total mass into square of the distance of that total mass from the axis. So, if we equate these two, sigma mr square and mk square, we get k square as summation mr square by m, or k is square root of summation mr square by m. So that we define k. What is k? K is called as radius of gyration. What is radius of gyration? It is the distance of the point from the axis of rotation where the whole mass or the total mass of the body is assumed to be concentrated. Distance of the point from the axis of rotation where the total mass of the body is assumed to be concentrated. That is radius of gyration. Now, in linear motion, say, let us consider the different terms what we come across in linear motion and rotational motion. Translatory motion or linear motion and translational motion. So in a linear motion, the displacement is denoted as s. The velocity or speed is denoted by v. Then acceleration denoted as a. So here all are magnitudes, all are vector quantities. Let us consider magnitudes. Then the force which overcomes inertia. Momentum, the quantity of motion possessed by, let it be the vector quantities. Quantity of motion possessed, nothing but linear momentum. These are the terms we come across in case of linear motion. And momentum defined as mv vector, force defined as rate of change of momentum, nothing but m dv vector by dt, it is ma vector. Similarly, in case of rotational motion, this linear displacement is replaced by angular displacement, linear speed denoted by, the linear speed replaced by angular speed, and the acceleration is denoted by symbol alpha. Analogous to force is the tau, torque, and momentum, nothing but angular momentum. These are the terms we come across in case of rotation motion, or terms associated with rotation motion. So now, angular momentum. How do we define angular momentum? Already we discussed. It is moment of linear momentum, nothing but mrv. So that is mr into, what's the relation between v and omega? V equal to r omega. So that we get L as mr square omega. What is mr square? Moment of inertia. So that the expression for angular momentum is given by I omega vector. Or magnitude is I into omega, whereas moment of inertia is a scalar quantity, omega the vector quantity. Now, in rotation motion, the torque overcomes inertia. What is torque? Rate of change of angular momentum is called torque. So that tau vector is dl vector by dt. It is d by dt of I omega, or it is I is the scalar, so I into d omega by dt. Rate of change of angular velocity. Rate of change of angular velocity, angular acceleration. So that tau is I alpha. See, F is ma, similarly, in case of rotational motion, tau equal to I alpha. See, if you compare these two equations, in case of linear motion, force overcomes inertia, and the quantity which measures force is mass. Mass is the measure of inertia in linear motion. Whereas in rotational motion, force is replaced by tau, mass is replaced by I. So moment of inertia is a measure of inertia in rotational motion. This is about inertia in rotational motion and translatory motion. Now let us discuss the kinetic energy of the particle or the body in rotational motion. So we know that in case of linear motion or translatory motion, kinetic energy is given by half mv square. M is the mass of the body or particle, v is the velocity. Kinetic energy is half mv square. Now, what about the kinetic energy of the rotating body? For this, consider a rotating body. xy is the axis of rotation. Again, we consider different particles of masses m1, m2, m3 at different distances, r1, r2, r3 and so on. Total mass of the body is, let it be m. Let the body be rotating about this axis with the angular velocity, say omega, uniform angular velocity. Angular velocity remains constant. It is rotating with uniform angular velocity omega. So, the particles m1, m2, m3, etc. are at different distances from the axis of rotation. So, they possess same angular velocity omega, but their linear velocities are different. As the distances are different, their linear velocities are different. Let v1, v2, v3, etc. be the linear velocities of the particles. See, note down the difference between the linear velocity and the angular velocity. Angular velocity is same for all particles, whereas linear velocities are different. Now, let us find out the kinetic energy of rotation. Kinetic energy of the whole body is equal to kinetic energy of all the other particles. Sum of the kinetic energy of all the particles. So that the kinetic energy of rotation is equal to sum of the kinetic energies of all the particles. First one, half m1 v1 square plus half m2 v2 square plus half m3 v3 square and so on. Now, substitute v1, v2, v3 in terms of omega. What is v? V equal to r omega. If you substitute that, v1 is r1 omega. See here, omega same. r1, r2, r3, etc. different. R values are different for different particles. Plus half m2 v2 is r2 omega whole square. Plus half m3 r3 omega whole square. So that we get here m1 r1 square omega square plus half m2 r2 square omega square plus and so on. So that half omega square is common, keep it outside. Inside the bracket, m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus and so on. That is half omega square into sigma mr square. What is summation mr square? Nothing but I, total moment of inertia. So that kinetic energy of rotation is given by half I omega square. Kinetic energy of rotation is half I omega square. Kinetic energy of translation is half mu square. So that the total kinetic energy, when a body is in rotational motion, the total kinetic energy of that rotating body is given by kinetic energy of translation plus kinetic energy of rotation. That is half mu square plus half I omega square. This is about the rotational motion of a rigid body. With this, I stop here. Let us continue the class with the theorems of moment of inertia.